I was grinding, like literally showing up the 5 days a week because everybody told me I needed to. I was selling in the way that everybody told me I needed to. And I went to a retreat in Lisbon in October of 2022. And I walked into that room being like, why the hell am I here? Because I was ready to give it all up. I was like, I can't do this. Like, it's such a grind. It's not me. I don't sell this way. I can't. And I walked out of that room and I said, F it. I'm not listening to a single person. I muted everybody on the online world and I literally just did whatever the hell I wanted to do. And I'm not kidding you, within months, my business skyrocketed because I finally started to just speak the way that I would, sell the way that I would, deliver the thing I actually wanted to deliver, which is helping people express themselves in their business in an authentic way.
Hello, beautiful people. Yes, I am talking to you. Are you ready to feel confident AF, free from the expectations and opinions of others, and create ultimate self-trust in who you are, what you say, and how you show up in every part of your life? If you answered a hell yes, I am, I guarantee this episode will empower you to be 100% yourself, 100% of the time, no shame or guilt needed. It's time for you to strut your stuff, express yourself with freedom, and fully embrace every freaking fabulous part of you. Let's dive in. Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to another episode of Road to Radical Visibility. My name is Rachel Freemon Sowers, also known as the Break Free Bitch, because I am passionate about helping people just like you break free from the toxic social constructs, expectations, opinions, and beliefs that have been holding you back from experiencing your life exactly the way that you want to. And if you've hung out here for very long, you'll know my professional and personal motto is being 100% yourself, 100% of the time, no shame or guilt needed. Today, I just love having guests on this podcast and this show. I can't tell you, like, if you're watching the YouTube, I'm leaning in. I'm just all excited. One of my favorite things is to tell and expose and, I don't know, just communicate the stories of people that are empowering and encouraging. And the story of my guest today is no different and is absolutely will be powerful and empower you to continue being yourself 100% of the time. So let me introduce her now. My guest is Kathryn Thompson. She's a Canadian-based entrepreneur who inspires people to use their stories as a way to create change in the world. Now you know why she's here. She's an award-winning marketing and communications expert with more than 15 years of experience. After growing one of her businesses to close $1 million in sales in less than 4 years, she sold it with a single email. That is some business goals when I'm ready to retire. I'll be hitting you up, my friend. Kathryn is now the founder of Creatively Owned, a marketing and communication firm that helps entrepreneurs use the power of words to create instant appeal for what they are selling. Welcome to the show, Kathryn. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So I told Kathryn before, it's like, we're going to go raw and real and vulnerable, and she is here for all of it. So I cannot wait. So that starts with this very first question that I ask all of my guests. What does radical visibility mean to you?
I absolutely love this question because if you had asked me even like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, it's always changing, this definition of what I think radical visibility is. And I've done, again, so much work to become more and more and more and more of who I am, or not become, reconnect with who I always was. But radical visibility, radical visibility to me is really just showing up as your most authentic self right now in this moment, without the fear of judgment, rejection, what others are going to think, your family's going to think, the world's going to think, is expressing yourself in the most creative way with who you are right now, knowing that that message, that voice, that story can evolve as you evolve.
Well, I mean, like that is such, like, it's so meaty in this container that you've just kind of given. And it's not easy. I mean, being authentic, and you and I both know being an entrepreneur in the online world, and this kind of, you very business focused, me very personal growth and development focused, and doing some of that in business. The word authenticity has been this word that has now been thrown out there, and like, what is your authentic self? Be your authentic self, and you can do this. And it's kind of gotten that kind of phrase to it. So how do you view authenticity? What is your definition of being authentic? And I know you kind of mentioned it, but can you go a little bit deeper there?
Yeah. So authenticity to me is like, it's not about being perfect, polished, poised. It's not about having all your shit together. It's like literally showing up in all the facets of who you are, the messy, the raw, the real, I have no freaking clue what I'm doing, but I'm just going to do it. Or I have this really deep call that I want to share this message, and I have no idea what that's gonna freaking look like, but I'm putting it out there. Yeah,
and that real and raw, that's often not interpreted in social media. I mean, I think it's becoming now more than ever, but there is a lot of room left to grow. I was just talking to a colleague who I'm working on a multi-authored book project with, about my experience of hiding who I was in my career for several years because of fear of discrimination as an LGBTQ IA plus person, and all the things that kind of made me believe that I couldn't see my authentic self. I couldn't see who I really was. And we get covered up by a lot of stuff. So you've recently been transforming. You've recently been creating more radical visibility in your personal life, in yourself, and therefore in your business. Tell me about that journey for you.
Yeah, it's so crazy because I was somebody who definitely was like that. I don't want to say vanilla, but I was very much like that poised, polished, very buttoned up, like say the right things, have the right words, and all of that, so that you don't like ruffle feathers or people don't think you're freaking weird. And so I spent 15 years in corporate.
Yes.
Being this like really polished and poised person with the right words to say at the right time to the right people to get the promotions, to move up, to whatever. And then it caught up with me. There was a time where I became, I don't want to say it was, deep depression, but definitely low level depression where I was like, who the hell am I? This isn't me. And it was like this, I just recorded a podcast on my podcast, was like this alter ego. I had this, I was very serious in business. I was very, put together. And then everybody in my family was like, that's not you. Like, I'm so free flowing. I go with the flow. I'm quirky. I'm weird. I have dry sense of humor. Like, there was just this two different people that I was trying to play this part in. And so I ditched my corporate career, opened that wine business, as you mentioned in my bio. That wasn't it for me. And I've now really stepped into my personal brand in the online world, but that took a long time to do. I came into the online world very vanilla, very curated, very, you can't say this, you have to say this. And I've shed a lot of that. And like I said, the road hasn't been easy, but I've done the work too. And I'm still doing it. Like, I'm still doing it. And
let's not pretend it doesn't stop. I had a client say to me, she's like, the interesting thing is I can't go back now. She's like, I've learned all this stuff with you. Yeah. And I think it's very true in when we start becoming more of ourselves and putting more of ourselves out there in our marketing, in our business. And it's like, you can't go back. You can't go back and be like, okay, well, because everything inside of you is going, this is not what we're doing, my friend. You're like, oh, hell no. No, thank you. Yeah. We're going to say the yes, please to the continued moving forward. Tell me one pivotal moment, like maybe a thing that you were doing. And in that moment, you're like, oh no, I'm moving towards this more authentic way of being, more radical visibility for myself. Like, what was one of those turning points?
Yeah, it's actually quite recent, but the growth that has happened in life and in business is actually quite magical. When people talk about that quantum leap and you kind of roll your eyes like, I've been grinding for 2 years and you're talking about these bloody quantum leaps, like, screw you. They're not real, but it can be real. And so I had literally spent a year building this group program in my business. I was grinding, like literally showing up the 5 days a week because everybody told me I needed to. I was selling in the way that everybody told me I needed to. And I went to a retreat in Lisbon in October of 2022. And I walked into that room being like, why the hell am I here? Because I was ready to give it all up. I was like, I can't do this. Like, it's such a grind. It's not me. I don't sell this way. I can't. And I walked out of that room and I said, F it. I'm not listening to a single person. I muted everybody on the online world. And I literally just did whatever the hell I wanted to do. And I'm not kidding you, within months, my business skyrocketed because I finally started to just speak the way that I would, sell the way that I would, deliver the thing I actually wanted to deliver, which is helping people express themselves in their business in an authentic way. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I'm wondering how many of the listeners right now, or if you're watching on the YouTube channel, can relate to what Kathryn is saying. There's a tension inside of you. That tension equals depression. It can equal anxiety. It equals unhappiness. It equals overeating. It equals addiction to numerous things. It equals all of these things. Those things are signs that something in you is battling to say, I don't know if I really want this. And you and I met through our mentor, Morgana McCabe Allen. And, you know, she is someone who has been an advocate for people who don't want or who don't do things the way everyone else. And in the online world, you can selling like that. You can. People make money all the time. But if it means that you sacrifice your soul, I don't know what the $1 million is for then. Right? You know what I mean? I mean, any, right? And so that moment when you walked out of the room, tell me all the thoughts you were having, because our listeners will be able to relate.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
I walked out of that room. I don't even think I had the thoughts of what was going to be next. I was going to burn it all down. I literally got on the plane back to Canada. I was in the midst of in and out of wake from jet lag, and these ideas kept dropping in, and I kept saying, no, I'm done. I'm going to go and coach leaders in like executive leaders. You know, that was like, I'm going to go do that. So I was fighting these intuitive hits and these downloads, and this idea dropped in, the name of it, the structure of it, what I was going to teach, all of it. And I just was like, no. And then it was so loud that I was like, okay, I'm going to give it one more shot. I'm going to give it one more shot. And literally that month of November, I got it ready, put it out there, and I had 10 people sign up, which is like the highest number of people I've had enroll in like a couple week period. Usually it was like I'd get a client here, a client there, a client there. They would trickle in, so to speak. This was like, boom. And then if you listen to my podcast, you can see the difference in my voice and the inflection and the stories. Like now my podcast is like, sometimes I don't even know what I said anymore because I'm just like riffing, you know, and I'm just literally channeling and sharing. And I'm like, what did I say? And my mom will message and she'll be like, great episode, really spot on. And then she's like, I loved that story. And I'm like, I don't even remember what I said.
That's what I love about podcasting. Yeah. So for those of you listening, what are you fighting? And by the time this episode comes out, it'll be a couple weeks after I've done the Unleashing the Power of Receiving, right? And what you did was you were receiving the message, but at one point in time, you're like, okay, I'm going to take it in. I'm going to take it in. I'm going to own this thing, and I'm going to give it another shot. Like that was your, what I call the true self, the wise one within you. That's like, nope, we're not stopping yet. And to know how to tune into that voice instead of the fear that you and I have experienced in the online world. There's a lot of things that tell you if you don't do it this way, and let's just break it down in marketing, in the marketing world, you have to do this and use this formula and DM this, and it removes all of you. And people say like, oh, you know, you can still, you know, put yourself in there. Not really.
No.
Because it can't just be 10% you and 90% somebody or something else that makes up the 100. You know, you be the 90 and they be the 10. It's more difficult when you're not showing up as your fullest self in your business.
1000%. And the voice at different stages to run, to be scared, right? Like I launched the program that had no curriculum. Right? Everyone's like, you've got to have this curriculum and that's what people pay for. And I was like, do they pay for that, or do they want me to help pull out of them what's already within them instead of me giving them a curriculum that has these steps that is still kind of not having them fit into some type of box?
Yes.
And so the whole time as it's launching, I'm like, they're not going to find value in it. My inner critic. They're not going to find value in it. They're going to wonder what the hell they signed up for. They're going to wonder what the hell they paid for. And that happens all along the way because my inner critic and ego wants me to not do it, right? But my higher self's like, no, this is what people are freaking craving.
Well, and it's that those very two different things that we're taught to keep very separate, right? And the inner critic and all of those things, those are parts of us that have been shamed, guilted, all the things. And you and I both know it's about how do we make, and I'm sure you do this with your clients or it wouldn't work. So I'm sure that you do it. Like how are you creating a calmer nervous system to be able to put yourself out there? How are you creating a different way of interacting with yourself so that you can interact with other people differently? It changes and shifts your business 100%. So that being said, what are two things that you shifted from the download on the plane? No. You're like, okay, I'm doing it. Give me two things that you shifted that equaled you feeling just fucking awesome about what you do.
Yeah. The biggest shift is I literally, every part of what I put out is me right now in this moment. And I think what resulted in was this inner conviction and belief in myself, because I was trying to do it all the other ways that never really felt authentic. And therefore I doubted myself. I didn't have the confidence. I was like, I don't really actually sound like that. I would never sell like that. And I'll just give you an example. I was told many, many, many times that if I transparently shared what I do, why I do what I do, the price, the details, all of the things, it would turn people off. And they would, you know, make an excuse for they can't afford it.
I was told the exact same thing.
I can't. Yeah, and I was like, I can't sell like this. Like, so then I tried to do the sales tactics that way, and they always felt clunky and weird. Like there was an elephant in the room, and I'm like, my people are smart. They're freaking intelligent. I know that they want the details, and that I'm going to just be transparent. I'm one of the most transparent people. Ask me anything, I'll answer transparently. And so I was like, I just have to do it this way. So that shift of just doing it my way and like literally tuning out created that like deep inner conviction that I was missing for the 2 years prior in selling, in promoting, in marketing, which is why I had huge success in the offline world with my first business, because I didn't have a mentor. I didn't even know what the online world was. I couldn't follow anything. I was just making it up as I go. Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's better for us not to know. Sometimes, you know, like you said, like you shut that off. So you listen to your own conviction, you start putting that stuff out there, it becomes successful. Now, success to each person is different. The reason I said the two things that you did to make you feel fucking awesome about your business is because that is one of the biggest results that will help you sustain the momentum and the success you want. It's not how many sales you make that will help you sustain. It's how you feel about yourself and how you're interacting in your business, right? So
Totally.
what you and I have a lot of language around inner critic and all of those kinds of things, and an internal kind of way of being. You and I understand that. And for the audience, what we're talking about is within. It's knowing yourself so well that you have been into these deepest parts of yourself, those beautiful deep parts. You've explored all of these areas, and you've really learned how to nurture yourself and how to care for yourself and heal yourself from the inside out. What is one of your personal revelations that allowed you to shift into a different way of being?
The biggest revelation for me would have been that, like, is my instinct and knowing, that deep intuitive knowing that I know, like, I know instinctively which direction to go and how to go. I don't need someone to tell me that, but I was listening to all the other voices tell me that. So I shut that part of myself off, and I started to lose trust in who I was and what I knew. And so I doubted my own inner trust, I guess, which is the thing I cut off when I entered in the online space. It was like I went through this vortex of, like, looking up to gurus and chasing these gurus and what they were building and all of the things. And so the biggest revelation for me, like I said, was like that coming back to that intuition and that inner instinct that why I was successful in the first business, because I just followed that with no, like, hesitation. It was like it's so funny because it's like you're going through the motions in a positive way. You're just doing things. And you're like, I don't know how I got here. That's where I create success. It's not when I'm trying to think my way to success.
Yeah. I relate to that so much, because the minute I sit down to write a post and I'm wondering, oh, how can I write it so people will want to read it? That is a sign. Be like, Rachel, you drop down into your heart right now and you speak from there. And that is what people will read.
Yeah.
The people who are meant to see it will see it, all of those things. Okay. So I don't normally do this on any of my podcast episodes, but I'm doing it this time because I'm channeling. This is what's supposed to happen. You've heard some of my story. I've struggled a long time being neurodivergent, all those things in the online world that tell you that you have to do it this way to be successful. And how do you give us the top 3 ways, the top 3 things you would tell someone who is neurodivergent and is struggling to feel like they know or they're allowed to write their message? What are the 3 pieces of advice you would give them?
Yeah, great question. I think the biggest thing that I would say is that, again, is like, it's less about the doing. It's less about, like, I have to have 5 posts. I think a lot of times we get hung up in the, like, 5 posts, 2 emails a week. They go out at this time. Like, literally, I'm not kidding you. I send 1 email a month. I post twice on social, but I literally am only posting what's coming through in my heart. I don't think about it. And so it's so inconsistent. And I'll say that I'm the least consistent human on the planet. And for somebody in the digital space guru that's like, you have to be consistent to be successful, I'll tell you that's total BS. So it's literally tuning into who you are, whether you're neurodivergent or whatever, and literally knowing it can be that simple. Like, we don't need to overcomplicate it. It can be that simple. And your story and what makes you unique as neurodivergent are the things that's really going to resonate with your audience. I just was reading a post recently. I have a lot of clients that come to me that are neurodivergent. And she was like, I'm sitting here cleaning my bedroom and I know that I should be working. What the hell do I do? Like, I know I should be working. And I'm going to tell you this, that, like I said, you can send one really potent email that could sell out a program or your one-to-ones. You can send one potent social post But when you can relate it back to your own story from the heart and ditch all of the other shoulds of what is a successful business, that's what's going to transform. And you only know that. You only know what you can, what's true for you, and follow that. I promise you, I used to post consistently 5 days a week. I'd send 2 emails. I would do all of the things. I would show up live. I do none of that anymore. And my business is doing literally 3 times better than it's ever done as a result of it. You can do less.
Well, and in that state, you show up differently. You show up in a...
Totally.
And you build the trust. You allow the nervous system to know that that you can be 100% yourself and experience the things you want to in your life. Because so many of us have been told that we can't, and that's not how it's going to work for us. So this has been, it's hit on this, our episode has hit on so many different things. Just in it's been 24 minutes, and we've hit on so much goodness and so much juiciness. If you are saying that rings true with me, make sure to put a comment in the YouTube comments below if you're watching it. If you're on the podcast and something hits you, I'd love for you to DM me. I'll definitely forward any messages to Kathryn, because what we're talking about is common, and we need to be talking about it more and more, about how we know, and how when we start trusting ourselves in an internal way and seeing ourselves through our own radical visibility, whatever that means to you, like when you start seeing yourself in, as corny as it sounds, loving all of it, something huge like shifts inside of you. So how can people reach you? Or let me ask you this first. I don't know if I'm supposed to go there yet. Do you have anything else that you want to share about your journey and about, about how you are living and being now? So is there anything else you want to share about that?
Yeah, I wanted to share the whole marrying of we talked business and that sort of thing, but it is really about that, that whole essence of who you are, not just in business, but just a way of being. I'm just a different person in my relationships, whether that's with my husband or friends, right? Because you talk about the nervous system and that calming. I was always in that sort of flight or fight, right? Because I wasn't really being myself. And so I was trying to escape. Everything I was doing was trying to escape. Ditching corporate, buying the wine business that wasn't not aligned for me. I was trying to escape. Every decision I made, I was trying to escape the life I was building, which is really weird. And I've come to this calm place now where I'm no longer trying to escape, which is just really beautiful. I'm just literally a lot more present, a lot more appreciative, grateful. Again, this might all sound really corny, but it's true. I'm not binging Netflix like I used to. I'm not stuffing my face with food to numb the emotional pain. I'm sitting with the uncomfortable things that come up, which they do. We're human, right? So it doesn't mean because I'm living like this now that I don't face inner critic, ego, uncomfortable things, people saying things about me that aren't true. I just had that experience recently of somebody accusing me of something that I was ghosting them, and I wasn't. I was just on holiday for 2 weeks, and my past self would have just spent so much time trying to defend it. And I just noticed how the work is paying off, because I wasn't triggered. I was like, that's your perception. I'm sorry you feel that way. But I didn't go down the rabbit hole of trying to make it, is she right? Am I a bad person? Am I not doing good enough? It's just such a different state of being. Yeah.
I'm so glad I stopped myself from ending this episode.
Yeah.
Again, this is how you learn to trust yourself ultimately and just go wherever. Because, Kathryn and I haven't rehearsed any of this. What you talked about, though, is people escaping their life that they're creating, and they don't even know they're trying to escape the life that they're creating.
Yeah.
Because there's not an awareness. And the awareness, and you and I both know, is the first step. But an awareness without the judgment, the shame, and the guilt is the healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whew. Well, now.
I know, I'm getting chills now.
There's a fucking gorgeous place to end it, right? If you are listening to this podcast and you're like, I want to stop escaping the life I'm quote unquote intentionally building.
Yeah.
Then you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Kathryn. If you're a business owner who has struggled with writing your copy, with feeling like, and I have felt this, feeling like everything you write is not enough, that you didn't use the right words, and that's why people aren't contacting you, that you didn't put the right picture, or you said too much, or you weren't professional enough. All of that is bullshit. Reach out to Kathryn because she can help you. It is imperative, and you all know this about me. We need to use our voices as ourselves because it is what makes the world a better place. Bar 100%, everything. It is everything. And your life, just like Kathryn said, and just like mine, will change in all the areas. It's like it's a one size fits all for you. And it changes and it helps you create the way you want to experience your life, right? Whew, yeah. Okay. So if people want to find out more about you and reach out, can you just let us know where they can find you?
Yeah, so I'm over on Instagram most of the time at Creatively Owned. I have my website is also creativellyowned.com, but drop me a DM. I'm there. I can talk business stuff. I can talk life stuff. Yeah.
Fantastic. I hope that you reach out to her and let her know also how much she's empowered and encouraged you on this episode and show. All right, my friends. Ooh, my heart just feels so grateful. It almost makes me emotional.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, my friends, I will end this episode like I end every single episode. Please make sure to stay true to yourself, be kind to others, and always, always, always honor the wise one that is within you. I will see you all on the next road to radical visibility. Until then, bye. Hold up, don't go yet. If this episode inspired you to be 100% yourself, 100% of the time, no shame or guilt needed, even just that little bit more, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. I'm here, and I know you are too, to make a positive impact in the world. So don't forget to share the love. And if you were left wanting more of this type of kick-ass content, then don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. Until next time, make sure to stay true and be you. Until then, bye.